Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this easy block. It's called the Delectable Mountains. At least that's what I've been seeing. I have some squares here. I have a lighter color for my background and then a print for my main. You could do either color, whatever you want. These are 10-inch squares. That is what I'm going to start with. This is a perfect project for layer cakes. So I'm going to take my lighter fabric and making sure that I am on the wrong side of the fabric, I'm going to draw a diagonal line from one corner to another using my ruler as a guide. And I'm using a heat erase pen here, but you can use whichever marking tool you want, as this is on the wrong side of the fabric and no one's going to see it anyways. Once we have done that, we are just going to place them right sides together, and we are basically making two half square triangles. They are very large half square triangles, but that's what we're making, and we're using the two at a time method here. And I'm just going to place a few pins in here. This is just to make sure that nothing's going to shift or move around while I am sewing, because once we have put our pins in here, we are going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side of that line. So we're going to sew down one side and then down the other side. And then that way we will end up with two half square triangles once we cut them apart. And like always, I will chain stitch wherever I can. So I like to do that. I just find that it goes a whole lot faster. Once we have sewn our lines, we're just going to cut right between them, making sure that we don't slip and cut into those stitches, because then we would have to remake the units and that would be unfortunate. You could use a scissor. I just find it easier with my rotary cutter and my ruler. Once we have cut them, then I like to press to the dark side. That's just my preferred method. And I will now be squaring these up to 9.5 inches, making sure that I am using my diagonal line on my ruler to make sure that I'm getting them accurate. Once I have squared them up, I'm going to lay two of them right sides together, making sure that I am matching them up with the same colors on the same side and making sure that that seam down the center is matched up nicely. We want to make sure everything's nice and flush and even here because we are going to be cutting this now, doing 2 layers, and we need to cut these into strips 2 3/8 inches wide. So I just like to do this with two at a time. It goes a whole lot faster. If you are not comfortable doing that two at a time, it is totally all right if you just want to do one at a time. So we'll be cutting it into 4 strips, all of them being 2 3/8 inches wide. So you just want to make sure that once you've cut the three that you double check that last one to make sure everything is accurate, and it should be, but if it's not and you need to trim a little bit, that's fine, just trim off the excess. And once I have cut them all into the strips that I need, I'm going to take these layers apart and I'm going to start laying out the block. And you should be able to see right away if you're laying them out correctly because you want those points going away from each other, if that makes sense. Sometimes things make sense in my head, but when I tell them to other people, they don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, just look at the diagram if you have one, or just look it up online, or even just on this video. For me, I look at it as you need those points separated, and if you would put them together wrong, you would just end up with that half square triangle look, so you would immediately know that it is not correct. So I just think about it, you want those points away from each other. So this is what it's going to look like when you have two blocks sewn together, because that's what this is. And then I have another two blocks over there, because you would be sewing 4 strips together to make one unit. And then this we can build around it once we have sewn it all together. So you're just going to take them and lay them right sides together, sew with a 1/4 inch seam, and then sew that section onto the next one and so forth until you have 4 strips sewn together, and that makes one unit. All right, now that I have sewn them together, I'm going to just show you a couple of different layouts that you could use. And you could do this different colors. You don't need to do them all the same like I did here. I just did this for demonstration purposes. I have seen so many beautiful quilts where they used a panel and then they used these blocks to border it, and it just looked so good. So I think I will definitely try that one day, making a quilt like that. But you could also just lay them together like this and then make this your block and do a whole bunch of different colors. And I think that would look amazing. Or if you wanted to do like a rainbow color, you could, and then just do each strip a different color. I think that would look amazing. But this is what it would look like if you would use a lighter color for your inside. But there's many options with this block, and I hope you try it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button. Thank you so much for stopping by, and until next time.